This week on the show, resale sites continue to push ads and seller paid promotions, but have sellers finally had just about enough? What is up, Galaxians? Welcome to episode number 286 of the Galaxy CDs, Rocks, and Flips Reseller Talk podcast. My name is Ryan, and I'm going to be your host as we go through, I got, I think, 5 articles to go over today. News and notes in reselling, all of which seem to revolve around the seemingly never-ending push for sellers to pay additional on top of their fees in either promotions or ad spend. That we've got eBay with a big push. Meta is on a big push. Even Mercari over in Japan is making a big push. So we're going to take a look at all of that today. And then there's one outlier article about something going on in the trading card world that you trading card sellers might want to be aware of. So with that out of the way, no What Sold recap in today's episode. I'm going to hold that for the Wednesday live. So be sure to tune in Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern on YouTube live, and we'll catch up on the What Sold. There will be links to the various segments in this show, though, in the show notes and the video description down below. So if you want to go to a particular segment, you can do that. Let's do this reselling news.
News updates.
So first up, and this is not, if you've been following along for very long here, this is not new news, but there is yet another promotion from eBay in an attempt to get people to use some or all of the various promotions and ad links, ad programs that they're running. There are numerous different ads that have gone out to sellers, offers for discounts to try the programs out and whatnot. eBay does do this from time to time, but this is one of the most concerted efforts I've seen in quite some time. This article, and I think everything today, appears over on Value Added Resource, and they will be linked in the show notes and the video description down below. eBay has cranked up discounts and promotions aimed at enticing sellers to try promoted listing products in Q1. And she asks, is seller tolerance for ever-increasing ad rates and expanding attribution models starting to wane? We've talked about that over the last month or so. The new rollout of the program that's coming in Germany, where attribution is changing, and will be much more advantageous for eBay and not so much so for sellers. But they continue to try to push people into these programs. Full disclosure, I am a user of the Promoted Listing Standard program currently on eBay. That may be subject to change as we move forward, depending on how some of this stuff shakes out. Anyway, sellers of all types and sizes across eBay's global market, so this isn't narrowed down just to the US, this is international, have reported receiving offers which range from a few dollars to hundreds, potentially even to thousands of dollars, depending on the ad type being promoted. Some sellers received an offer for 50% off-site cost per click ads up to $300 through March 31st. If you're watching on YouTube, you can kind of see what this looks like. Here's 50% off up to $300 to try promoted off-site. So this is the program where you pay per click for your listings to be promoted off-site on other sites, whether it be Google or potentially Facebook, which we'll get into here in a minute, or other sites. So this is the pay per click off-site program, and there may be more than one, but the one that is highlighted here is 50% off up to $300 for off-site. There's another one offering up to 75% off, up to, I believe it's actually $200 for promoted listing priority cost per click ads. Those are the internal ads on eBay that you pay per click. So this is not offsite, this is within eBay. So this is a separate program, 75% off up to $200. That was the offer that I received from eBay in my messages. From eBay Jumpstart your advertising with up to $200 off promoted listings with a priority strategy. Opt in today to reach more buyers and boost your sales. It says the offer ends March 31st. So this is going to be going on for a while. One seller on Reddit said they were offered a 40% off offering on up to $4,000 in credits, which is a huge number. That's the only evidence of that one I've seen. I've not heard anybody else chime in on that one, so you can let me know. Let me know in the comments. Have you received an offer from eBay about running some sort of new ad campaign above and beyond what you may already be doing? Again, I do the promoted listings general or standard, whatever they're calling it these days. So of course they are trying to entice me to move into that middle ground and do the pay per click on eBay, but not necessarily offsite ad. Again, these promotions are not unheard of. Both priority cost per click and offsite ads and store display ads are newer ad products that eBay is offering, and sellers being less familiar or comfortable with those kind of methods, eBay has used these discounts in the past to try to goose seller adoption rates. I think with limited success, to be fair. What's more surprising is that eBay is now also offering discounts on the oldest and most established product, the Promoted Listings General, which was previously called Standard. Thank you. I can't keep it straight, which is a cost per sale model. Again, you don't pay for the click. You only pay if a customer purchases, but remember that that click is good for 30 days. And then we'll get to that here in a moment because that can have a big impact on how these promotions work. Some versions of the offer have taken 50% off. Some have had a much smaller amount, $20. One even offered a flat $10 credit. So here again, you can see the different ads if you're watching on YouTube. Get 50% off promoted listings with a general strategy. Activate the offer and get that 50% off up to $20. Or the other one, redeem the offer to get visibility you want. You're just a few clicks away. How to claim the offer at activate by January 15th, 2025. So this one's actually already expired, and get $10 off the promoted listings general credit. In the UK, private sellers apparently are being offered similar 15-pound credits as well, clearly targeted towards sellers who are not experienced with ads and again likely have not used them before. The inexperience of them, though, could come back to haunt because remember, again, those clicks have 30-day attribution windows. So with a promoted listings general, an ad fee is charged on any sale that occurs within 30 days of a buyer click on an ad or taking any other action which accounts for ad attribution. But it's important to note that these promotions apply to the ad fees for the items sold within the promotion period. So of course, what that means is it sets up a situation where an initial attributable click or action may happen during the promotion window when you would be getting those credits, but the buyer could wait to complete the sale until after the promotion ends, at which point you would be then charged the full amount with no credits coming back to you. And again, based on my experience, that could be a significant number of clicks. It's thousands a month of clicks through these programs. So be aware of that. If you take advantage of this, there's a really good chance that you're going to have some charges that go beyond the end of the promotional period, at which point you're going to be on the hook for the full amount. If all these ad fee credits don't really seem desperate enough, Australian sellers on Reddit say they're receiving unsolicited phone calls from eBay trying to badger them into signing up for promoted listings. One said, "I'm a small seller on eBay Australia. eBay have been calling me to try to get me to pay for additional advertising as if the final value fee and other fees paid weren't enough," which is the common sentiment that I hear from most sellers who are not using now or swear they will never use promoted listings of any kind. They don't feel they can justify paying an additional fee on top of what we're already paying to eBay. Remember, there's a fee increase also about to come through. So I totally understand why sellers are kind of putting the brakes on this. We've seen the increases in the minimum amounts that you can actually use to promote went from 1% to 2 to 5. You've seen the cost per click model, that minimum go way up. So these programs are generating, in theory, a lot of money for eBay, but a lot of sellers have kind of thrown up their hands and said, you know what, enough is enough, and I'm not going to participate. Let me know down in the comments below if you're listening on Spotify or watching on YouTube what your feelings are on these promotions, as it were. This is also an eBay story, and this is the only one that's not related to ads and promotions. eBay mega seller Probstein to launch a competitive live selling platform for sports cards and memorabilia. So another live selling platform due to be coming out sometime later this year, specializing in sports cards and memorabilia. Longtime mega seller Rick Probstein is launching a site called BYD, a live selling platform aimed directly at competing with eBay Live, Whatnot, Fanatics Collect, and more. As his future on eBay remains up in the air. He announced this new venture in an interview with Sports Card Madness on YouTube, saying he has been in a year-to-year relationship with eBay for over 20 years, which will continue, he said, at least through 2025, but he will also be launching his own live selling platform sometime in the next few months. There is a link to this full interview if you want to go check that out. Again, links to all this in the show notes and the video description down below. This is the first time, he said, I'm stating this publicly. I've been in a year-to-year relationship with eBay for over 20 years, and it's been great. I have no regrets. You know, I have a great relationship with them. I've met with pretty much all their senior management. I talk to them on a weekly basis. We also have a very, very close relationship. So a lot of variables led to this, but basically what's happening for 2025, he said, eBay is aware of this. This is not breaking news to eBay. They know all of this. So for 2025, I still have a rates deal with them. This is something that sellers have talked about previously, assuming that these bigger outfits are getting some kind of special deals. Here you go. He is. And yet he's still thinking about leaving, interestingly. Oh, man. Still be selling like a madman, you know, doing over $100 million, hopefully, like we normally do on the eBay platform. But at the same time, we will be launching our own live commerce marketplace off of eBay. He said 13 months ago, he hired a chief technology officer and a development firm, and they've been building out a live commerce auction site platform that he says has a lot of features. He says, I've done eBay for a little over 300 live shows, and I feel I have a little bit of a sense of the product. I also could do a deep dive in terms of what does Whatnot do well, what could they do better, Fanatics, eBay, all of these types of things, he said, from a technology perspective, from a business perspective, from an entertainment perspective, and I feel that we will be building a better mousetrap than them. We're probably 2 months away, he finished, from finishing this site, and we'll probably launch in about 3 months. The name that it's going to be known by is BYD. When he was asked if there was any point where he approached eBay about partnering to build the site, Probstein said he's had dozens and dozens of meetings with eBay, and there still might come a point, he said, where he might do something with eBay and roll it back into the site. So here is kind of the classic example. He's going to create what he believes is a better mousetrap, his words, a better live selling experience than what is currently available on eBay or Whatnot. We'll see. The proof, of course, will be in the pudding. And then he would probably consider, for I'm sure not a insignificant amount of money, selling that back to eBay. eBay is always trying to acquire new businesses or businesses where they think there's a good fit and where the technology would be an improvement over what they're already doing. So he's already kind of setting up potentially the future down the road where he creates this thing and then somehow manages to sell it to eBay. He went on to describe how it worked with sellers being able to sell directly on the platform or to consign with Probstein and the market differentiation he hopes to bring to the table with simplified logistics and shipping capabilities. He didn't go into much detail there, but be aware of that. He said BYD will initially focus on collectibles, but he says the plan is to expand eventually to cover handbags, electronics, and other categories which have proven popular amongst live shopping consumers. While there was no further comment on the future of Probstein auctions on eBay, it, of course, would not be surprising if their year-to-year deal ends or at least significantly changes after this year. If he does end up leaving the platform after 20 years and over 5 million items sold, it would be another major loss for eBay after PWCC was removed from the site, in theory, for accusations of shill bidding, and acquired by Fanatics and Burbank Sports Cards took millions of cards off of eBay after signing an exclusive deal with Fanatics Collect last year. So big news potentially in the trading card market with potentially a new site to compete with eBay and Whatnot. Let me know what you think of that if you are a trading card seller and what you think of potentially partnering with this person. Obviously, we just mentioned PWCC was removed from eBay for accusations of shill bidding. Some accusations of shill bidding have also been attached to Mr. Probstein. He is a bit of a controversial figure over in the card trading business. So let us know what you think of that. This one, I guess this isn't really promotions, though it may be tied to the ongoing effort to attract more businesses into Facebook Marketplace. They're ending their prepaid shipping labels for new listings. This one is a bit puzzling. There may be a rational reason for it, which we'll get to, but it's a strange thing to remove from the toolbox of sellers on Facebook Marketplace. Facebook will no longer allow new listings with shipping to use prepaid labels provided by the marketplace, leaving sellers with short notice and more questions than answers. The update was posted in the help page about offering shipping on items listed on Facebook Marketplace, saying the change goes into effect for new listings starting on February 24th, so a week and a half. As of February 24th, you will no longer be able to buy and create prepaid shipping labels for new listings on Marketplace. Existing listings with prepaid labels remain unchanged, and you can still ship items using your own label. Please note that if you switch to using your own label, I assume this is in the interim, you cannot revert back to a prepaid label. So be aware of that if you opt it into doing ship on your own and create your own label, you won't be able to opt back into, for this very limited window, eBay, or rather Facebook shipping labels. Meta did not provide any explanation for the sudden change, but the help page points to one possible factor. The prepaid shipping option relies on sellers entering, as we talk about all the time when we talk about shipping, accurate weight and dimensions. And while it does say they can lose access to the feature if too many packages end up underpaid, it doesn't provide any explicit terms saying sellers will be charged for any shipping adjustment overages. So essentially, the theory, of course, is that you're putting in incorrect dimensions to get a cheaper label, and then Meta is having to cover the difference when that item turns out to be bigger or heavier or both than the label that you purchased through them. And as these companies are not here to lose money. They're going to fix that. And their way to fix that is to just eliminate doing labels altogether, which I guess I can't blame them. Those shipping announcements, as you know, if you've ever made a mistake in your shipping, rightly or wrongly, can be significant. Sellers on eBay, Mercari, and other marketplaces often complain about being billed outrageous amounts due to apparent errors in automated screening by the carriers. And even when the adjustments are correct, they can add up quickly. I experience that probably twice a month, where something that goes through the United States Postal Service I'll get a charge back on pirate ship for additional shipping because it says the item was in a priority rate flat rate box or whatever, when it was actually in a bubble mailer. Their automated system confused it with another package and they sent me a bill. I've never had an instance where when I submitted a dispute through pirate ship for that item that I did not get fully refunded. But again, that can be a time-consuming process. And if it's a big amount, if you've had one that's gone from a $5 shipping to a $30 shipping, you can be without that money for quite some time while you're waiting for those processes to go through. So, but again, if you multiply that by the number of people who are on Facebook Marketplace, that may be not necessarily doing it on purpose, but are getting that information in there incorrectly and costing Meta more money, that they may have just decided enough is enough. It's important to note this change only currently applies to, again, new listings created on the marketplace. Those existing listings will still have access to the prepaid label function, at least for now. Sellers discussing the change across social media say they are concerned about how to handle the change, with many pointing, of course, to Pirate Ship, who I just mentioned, and other label providers as a possible solution. If you are a seller on Facebook who uses their prepaid labels, give me a shout in the comments. Let me know what you think of this change. Meta, speaking of them, is expanding their EU Facebook Marketplace partnership to more consumer-to-consumer platforms. You may recall we talked about just a few weeks ago, they were opening up this program to eBay, and here, at least in Europe, now they are opening it up to pretty much anyone who meets a pretty stringent list of qualifications, which we are going to go over here. But this could really be potentially an issue. eBay, their stock took a big jump on the announcement that the items were going to be able to be in the Facebook Marketplace. And now it looks like, again, at least in Europe, that the Facebook marketplace may be filled with ads from many more consumer to consumer sellers. And that's a really important part that is going to probably cause a little bit of confusion down the road. Meta announced a new classified ad integration into their Facebook Marketplace platform last month in an attempt to appease EU and US regulators, originally tapping, as I mentioned, just eBay to be their first test subject in a move that sent eBay's stock soaring to a new 52-week high. But here we are, just a month later. eBay sellers are saying they still haven't seen any indication their listings are actually appearing on Facebook Marketplace through this partnership, and Meta's latest announcement, about the program may not bode well for eBay as they look to quickly expand this offering to more partners in the European Union. A new Meta for Business help page reveals more details about how the program works, which kinds of companies are eligible, and how these ads will look when displayed to consumers on Facebook Marketplace, and clearly explaining this move is in response to last year's European Commission decision, which fined the company 797.72 million euros for breaching EU antitrust rules. We have talked about that on this show previously. Again, this is an effort to prevent that sort of thing from happening again, because if shipping labels are expensive, 792.72 billion euros is certainly expensive as well. Facebook Marketplace Partner Program will enable users in European Economic Area countries to see your listings on the marketplace and complete their purchase on your website when you, as a platform, so this is aimed at businesses like eBay, like Mercari, Poshmark, whoever, to become a partner, a marketplace partner with Meta for Facebook. Why you should consider becoming a marketplace partner? They will gain access to the engaged and relevant user base, allowing them to increase traffic to their platforms and then, of course, by extension, their sellers. Marketplace's advanced product discovery and recommendation systems will help marketplace users discover your inventory. This program, again, is Meta's response, they said in the press release, to the European Commission's marketplace decision. So very transparent that this is in response to that. They probably would not have been doing this otherwise. But good on them. Here's how it works. To be considered potentially eligible to become a marketplace partner in this program, you must be an online classified ad service consistent with the European Commission's definition of that term, with available consumer-to-consumer listings in a European Economic Area country. So you've got to be some kind of marketplace of your own, focusing importantly on consumer to consumer. Keep that bit in mind as we move through this. Meta's eligibility criteria provides this definition for a qualifying online classified ad service. It must, 1, allow sellers to list and potential buyers to review listings relating to pre-owned products. 2, have listings that are searchable and that can be filtered by product categories. 3, allow buyers to contact sellers to negotiate the conditions of the sale. 4, for a majority of its listings, enables users to complete the transactions without the intervention of the online service. For example, it allows them to complete the transaction offline, so pay cash on the barrelhead in your garage to get the thing. You don't have to have the payment facilitated through, for instance, eBay or whatever the site may be. So that is an important note. And 5, be comprised of a majority of inventory that is held by, again, consumer, non-business users of the online service, and not by the online service itself or its affiliates. So those are important caveats as well. It can't be eBay-owned items. It should not be. The site should not be selling their own stuff. And it cannot be their affiliates. And importantly, it has to be definably consumers, not businesses, which really becomes problematic if you try to apply this to the US market, for instance, on eBay, where eBay doesn't really differentiate between the two, and clearly is going to be an issue potentially in the UK, where eBay is struggling to identify who is actually who. They have the self-reported, you're business or you're not. This has been an ongoing battle for eBay over the months. We've talked about it probably going back to last fall, but it's something they're going to have to work through if they want to, in theory, continue to participate in this program. Again, they were announced as one of the initial as the initial company to participate in this test. But some of this stuff, some of these rules laid out here, and again, maybe eBay has a special exception to this because of their size and the amount of inventory they have. But some of this stuff would not actually apply to eBay. Point number 4 in particular is interesting since that would seem to not apply to eBay Germany, which removed the option for buyers to pay with cash on collection in 2023 and instead requires users to utilize eBay's built-in payment system. So again, the policy is you have to be able to conduct the transaction offline. You have to be able to show up with a QR code and give the guy cash and not run the payment through eBay's payment system or whatever the site's payment system might be. So that could be potentially a problem for eBay, definitely in Germany where they already don't allow that, and anywhere else they opt to move in that direction. Point number 5, as I mentioned, could also pose challenges for eBay where businesses still make up a majority of the sellers on the platform, despite, again, those recent efforts, particularly in Germany and the UK, to grow the consumer-to-consumer market. Again, remember, eBay has kind of made the shift away, or is in the process at least of making the shift away from the vertical enthusiast categories and to refine their roots as a consumer to consumer marketplace. But they are still dominated by sellers like you and I who are actual business sellers. It is, of course, possible that Meta may have, as I mentioned, applied special privileges or exemptions to this criteria list for eBay as the trial announced last month. But if not, those things could end up being a big issue. Companies which wish to participate in this program will need to use an API developed by Meta to ingest and update their listings on Marketplace. They say to ensure that Marketplace users can effectively search and compare listings of their chosen partners, you will need to provide data about the listings you want to distribute on the Marketplace, such as the listing description, seller name, and delivery type. Partners are also responsible for making sure all listings submitted through that API comply with their commerce policies and terms of service, and items found to be in violation will be removed, I should say. One part of those policies lists items which specifically are prohibited from being listed on Facebook Marketplace, which includes vehicle parts, which could be another big blow for eBay, as the article points out, as motor parts and accessories is one of their largest categories. I assume that is true in Europe as well as here in the US. They have to also have a process in place to ensure that it does not send to Facebook Marketplace via the integration listings that are prohibited from being listed on the marketplace pursuant to Meta's commerce policies and the Facebook community standards, including, but not limited to, services, animals, medical and healthcare products, recalled products, vehicle parts, weapons, event or admission tickets, gift cards or vouchers, or anything that is not a physical product. So a fairly hefty list of exclusions that cannot be part of the program. Also of note, Meta explicitly says partners must have a methodology to distinguish consumer sellers from businesses, traders, or professional sellers, and only send listings from consumer sellers to Facebook marketplaces. So if you are an actual business and are appropriately registered on whatever your site of choice is, your listings will not be available in this program. They legitimately only want consumer to consumer sales. And I don't know how good these sites are going to be at differentiating between those. Obviously, it's already been a problem for eBay, particularly in the UK, to do that. And I'm not completely convinced how many of the sites will really want to participate in a program which is likely to exclude a significant chunk, if not an outright majority, of their sellers who are, in fact, actually businesses. The original announcement said the test would also include the US, and eBay, again, does not differentiate between business and private sellers the same way here. If Meta is applying the same criteria to the US test, that could help explain why no one has seen any eBay listings on Facebook, because they may still be trying to figure out how to comply with that criteria for the program, including but not limited to only sending items from consumer sellers and making sure they can quickly remove any listings that may have been sold or are no longer available. And then, of course, providing sellers with the ability to take down their listings and or choose not to have them shown there at all. Remember, there's no opt-in or out. eBay said they would determine which listings get sent over there. Uh, this is another one of those that there's almost so many regulations and restrictions that I question what the efficacy of this program will even be at the end. If you're a private seller and you can get your stuff through all the noise, it might be a great opportunity for you. But I guess I don't really see in the scheme of things how this really significantly helps Facebook or any of these sites. The last part, as I mentioned, could be a problem, as eBay's original announcement said nothing the sellers can do to opt in or opt out. It would be just based on eBay. Finally, the big question, of course, how much will it cost for partners to list items from their Facebook marketplace? Meta says each new partner will have an initial period of fee-free integration. This will provide you with the opportunity to assess the benefits you get from the partnership without accruing any fees. And remember, this is for the platforms. This isn't for you or I as Joe Seller to participate in. This is on a much higher level than us. This is for the platforms. After this initial fee-free period, we'll charge on a cost-per-click basis. That means you'll incur a charge each time a user clicks on a button within the product page details of your marketplace listing that redirects them to your website where they can complete the transaction. So this is going to be cost per click. They do not say anywhere in here what that cost will be. Additional information will be shared once you fill out the interest form and we determine your eligibility. So one of those things, you got fill in the form and then we'll email you all the details. Oh man. When the eBay partnership was announced last month, most sellers immediately assumed in order for their listings to be features, they would have to be using, again, eBay's offsite ad cost per click product, which was originally introduced in 2022 as a way for sellers to gain favorable Google placement and has since expanded to include visibility across a variety of external locations. Again, eBay is simultaneously running this experiment. Nobody's actually seen their ads, apparently, but they're ostensibly, at least, running this experiment, promoting eBay listings off-site on Facebook while at the same time trying to entice additional sellers to participate in the promoted listing off-site program. So all of this comes together. All of it are these companies trying to make more money from you, and in some cases like this, even recoup some of their expense. eBay is signed on with Meta to run this program, and they're paying for those clicks. So of course they want you as a seller to pay for your clicks. And I'm going to bet that your per click figure is going to be higher than eBay's, just simply because of the volume of clicks that are going to accrue. And then they will make money kind of on both ends of that deal. So really interesting times. Again, let me know in the comments what you think of that. Last thing for this week, more ads. This Mercari is looking to ads in Japan for a revenue boost with a full-scale on and off-site launch. Again, no apparent way that they have found to increase buyers, sellers, transactions, gross merchandise volume. So the default thing is to fall back on advertising and to run promotions where you can get more money out of your sellers. Interesting. Mercari Japan is moving full steam ahead with the launch of cost per click ad products offering increased visibility both on and off platform, leveraging users' purchasing data for targeted results. So again, they're taking I don't know at how specific a level, but they're taking buyer data and then targeting those buyers with what will be, at least according to Mercari, relevant ads in their feeds on their site as they're looking through listings and so on Mercari, or even off-site, which is interesting. The company announced the move in a press release last week, saying displaying advertisements on Mercari that utilize purchasing data will provide Mercari users with an opportunity to find products and services that they cannot find on secondary distribution channels. Mercari Ads, the advertising distribution service that is now being fully launched, is a pay-per-click advertising service that makes it possible to display ads that match search keywords on the search results screen within Mercari. So this is kind of an internal program and it is cost per click. We will continue to monitor user usage. Wow, that's a mouthful. And consider expanding our business in various ways, such as increasing the amount of advertising space. So I think Liz mentions it later in this article, but take a look at your eBay screen and look at all the real estate that is already filled with ads for products or sellers that are competing with you. When they look at your listing, Mercari is essentially saying the same thing. At some point, we may add more ad space to our pages. The background to the launch of this business: Japan's total advertising expenditure exceeds 7 trillion yen per year, of which internet advertising accounts for approximately half, 45.5% of that. In particular, the use of retail media, a method of delivering ads using consumer data by retail companies, is accelerating, particularly in the United States. So again, this is in Japan only for now, but remember, the Japanese CEO of Mercari is now also the US CEO. So I would expect, if this program has even a sniff of success, given the revenue and profit issues at Mercari US, that this program would come to the US with quickness. E-commerce operators are beginning to develop their advertising businesses. In Japan, the retail media advertising market is also expanding year over year. It's expected to reach 469.2 billion yen for last year and 2.3 times that amount by 2028. Mercari has grown into a service used by 23 million people monthly, and we have determined that by entering the advertising business, we can establish a certain position in this market. We can make more money. That's the double bottom line. By displaying advertisements on Mercari that utilize users' purchasing data, Mercari will provide Mercari users with an opportunity to find products and services that they cannot find, again, on those secondary distribution channels. The release goes on to provide details about how the cost per click ad options will work both on and off the platform. Off-site ads direct users to external sites, and on-site ads direct users within Mercari. Off-site ads will include product ads. This is an advertising product aimed primarily at e-commerce businesses, and by linking product data feeds, it is possible, they say, to deliver ads with the same creative content as regular listing information. In feed ads, this is an advertising product that will allow advertisers of any industry to deliver ads by simply submitting images and text creatives. So this would be potentially for unrelated companies who are not selling on Mercari to actually run an ad on Mercari in your feed. And if it's something that matches your buyer profile, that ad might get shown and then potentially lead you off Mercari, which I think is a really strange thing. Although, again, it's cost per click. So every time somebody clicks, Mercari is making money. So maybe not. On-site advertising makes it easier for Mercari shop products to be displayed on search results screen. Mercari says their users spend more time on the site than on other marketplaces. That's an interesting finding that I would not have assumed to be the case, giving them plenty of data to use to enhance keyword matching and targeting, though some users might find that idea a little creepy. They're taking a deep dive into your search and buying habits. And again, in Japan, starting very soon, you'll start seeing ads that are kind of like the Facebook ads, the standard meme. I mentioned that I was interested in a teddy bear, and suddenly my feed is full of teddy bears kind of thing. The announcement so far, again, only applies to Mercari Japan, but again, with the size of the U.S. retail media market and the continued performance issues at Mercari, would be no surprise if this eventually finds its way over here. Mercari already offers a promote feature, which gives listing a boost in search if the seller drops the price by at least 5%. And while that may help make the sale in some cases, it doesn't earn Mercari any additional revenue beyond the fees they collect on a sale that may not have happened otherwise. So again, an opportunity for them to, in theory, make a little bit more money on the same level of business by getting people to click these ads. Mercari ads sound similar to the cost per click option in eBay's promoted listings program. And if so, before increasing the amount of advertising space, Liz says Mercari should take a hard look at the bloated, confusing, and off-putting way eBay stuffs sometimes over 300 competing ads on every listing page as an example of what not to do if your goal is to provide a good buying experience. So there you go, my friends. That is the reselling news this week. Please let me know in the comments what you think of any of this. There's not really anything there this week, I guess, that's particularly actionable on our behalf as sellers, but it's always good to be aware kind of what these platforms are thinking and the ways in which they're trying to make money and how those are going to impact you, either through your having to use programs that you ordinarily would not have used or what the cost of those programs were. So let me know down in the comments what you think of all this ad nonsense. I would be in the camp that has kind of reached the breaking point. The fees have continued to increase. The cost of shipping has continued to increase. Everything is more expensive. My supply costs are going up. And now they want me to participate in ever more programs. And again, speaking for my own part, I don't think I'm willing to do that at this point. I don't see enough of a benefit for the type of listings, at least that I sell, to consider doing cost per click advertising. I've said that before on this show. And if they make changes here in the US on eBay to attribution like they have over in Germany, I would also have to consider whether that program will continue to make sense. So feel free to chime in down in the comments below. If you got something out of this today, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button on YouTube. It helps YouTube recognize that this is a fruitful use of your time. As always, if you're not currently a subscriber to the YouTube channel or a follower of the podcast, please consider doing that as well. I would love to have you on board. We will be back Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. on YouTube Live. We'll do a What Sold recap and have a discussion about all things reselling. Until then, my friends, it's time to sell. Thanks, guys. You have been listening to the Galaxy CDs Rocks and Flips Reseller Talk podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you again next time.